Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I hadn't planned on doing this. I had actually flip-flopped if that seems in or out of nature, but I was told today by a gentleman who I respect very greatly when he heard me say that I decided not to, for whatever reason, didn't miss a beat and said, "Don't be selfish. You owe people a thank you." And it struck me deeply. I was wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start with my wife. What time is it? She's not at work. She's not watching or listening. Probably not where she can be because she's running the kids around right now. That's what she's been doing for 6 years. I'd like to include a bit of a story here to let you know why I'm so moved to thank her. All of us, and many of these stories, you've all lived all these. We've followed such similar routes. I've visited with many of you over the last few years. But as we decided whether or not we should run that first time, the family talked about it off and on. We spent a little bit of time talking about this, and when I was set. Most of the time we are, aren't we, before our spouse. And I asked Amy, "What do you think? What's your final thoughts?" And she said, "Jason, if you don't do it, you'll always regret it, and you'll always wish you did." And with that sentence, what she sacrificed, what she gave up, was every Saturday morning for the rest of, the next 6 years, parades where she's driving the pickup or carrying notepads. Every night when I'm off at a political event, whether it would be political as a central committee or actual constituent being available and doing the job that we're supposed to be doing, and she's either getting the kids late, running, trying to make dinner for something, making sure something's in the microwave for me. Thank you for that too. But she sacrificed 6 years, and you know, going forward, I'm asking for a few more over in the Senate. But Amy, thank you. With those words, you sacrificed a lot of your time, a lot of what you would maybe hope to do. And for those of you who don't know our relationship going forward, it has seemed to have been it's your turn. We will focus on her. She owned a clothing store for 6 years. Before that, I was working on buying a farm. And I wouldn't say we ever went broke. It was just when we saw that after this much effort, we moved this far. No, this isn't what we wanted to do. And it was almost like, Amy, it's your turn. And instead of took the savings from the 80 acres I was hoping to buy when it was $1,800 an acre. And we put a down payment on a clothing store, and she spent 6 years, and she was the focus. And I had the kids every Saturday, and that's the way it worked. It's kind of interesting. Moving to my next item, Josie and Cameron, they've never known parents that didn't have to go somewhere on a Saturday, whether it was mom off to the store, dad off to the farm, or to politics. And here I'd like to offer Josie and Cameron one of the most touching moments I remember, at least myself in my 6 years, would have been the retirement speech where we were admonished, when you get home at night, kiss your children good night. Thursday night, when you leave Des Moines, you spent the whole week here with our extended quasi-family. Doesn't matter if they're asleep, doesn't matter if they're doing homework, give them a kiss. You were gone all week. And that meant a lot to me. And these folks, they're growing up without us. For those of you who remember Josie 6 years ago, she would have been 8, about this tall. She's now 1 inch taller than me. She's waiting for her first car. She's 14, and she cannot wait to get out of the house and spend her days at school, basketball, volleyball, all that. And it is a shame because for 6 years we've been here, and now she wants to be gone. My point on that isn't a whine. It's let's make it worth it. We're all investing some serious time of our life. Cameron, being the tomboy, the farm boy, the farm girl, she makes it clear each weekend that if you're going to be gone all week, we're going to go out to the farm. And each weekend, that's what we do. Even when there's a blizzard, we go out to the farm, we pet the dog, and that's it's been good time spent. The citizens of House District 55 and 18, 55 before the redistricting that we've all been through, and 18 after, what phenomenal people. I'm so proud to run into these folks. And I want to share with you, and you've lived this. I know you have, otherwise you would have quit. unless you're in the first 2 years, in which case I hope you're really getting this right now so that you don't quit. You know that feeling when you've been beat up enough times, or not, or nothing's happening, but a stranger walks up to you and says, I am so proud to have you as a representative. You speak for me. You never met this guy before. And typically in my experience, for whatever reason, demographics or newsletters, what I put in the newsletters, it's an 80-year-old man. Guy might have fought in Korea, World War II, and out of the blue, he walks up to me at Palm Cars. Let's never forget where we are and who owns the desks, because they're good people. It's amazing. So thank you, folks, for your support. Members of House District, where's the camera? House District 18 and 55, and Senate District 9, obviously, I'm asking for your support, and I will appreciate it as much. But what means so much to me personally is Senate District 9 happens to be about 85% of the combined House District 55 and 18. It's the same people I'm going back to, and I'm humbled to ask for their support, because they have humbled me with their generous support. Oh, the clerks. You know, it seems like I've been here longer. Alyssa, John, Caitlin, and Cheryl. That sounds like I've been here a long time, and it hasn't been all that. Alyssa's graduated law school, has her first child now. For those who remember Alyssa Staley, she was a page here. I won't go through them all. John, Caitlin, Cheryl, it has been great. And for those of you who have seen me rush to meetings and be there at the last minute, it's only because they got me there. I appreciate all their help and support. To the colleagues in the House, all of you I look at, and I mean all of you, no divisions, we're all Iowans here. It has been a great pleasure, and I have learned something from so many of you. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, but that's all of our experience. In the room, we have politicians and we have statesmen. The idea that we have a citizen legislature is what brings that out. And, you know, ironically, this morning as I was taking my time to get here, when I knew that we would start a little later in the morning, I heard, ironically, I don't even know what station it was on, but the gentleman was going on about the position of Iowa. The topic doesn't really matter, but the topic was the position of Iowa, the pay of legislators, and he said that, ironically, we're right about in the middle, and we all know numbers. I mean, if you find another report, we could be anywhere in there, and then he went through on so many different topics, and we all just happened to be in the middle right there. I thought that was ironic. But that's us. I mean, that is all of us, regardless of House, Senate, Democrat, Republican. Those are the people we're representing. And so many of us do such a great job, and I wish I was more like you. Constituent services has always been one of my difficulties, because I have a hard time interfacing. It seems like being that liaison between their problem and the state. And I'm going to get to the other people that I'm thanking, but the staff helps out. Some of you folks have taught me lessons how to do that, and some of you do it so well. I'm trying to figure out how you learn so much. It's been impressive. Speaker Paulson and Majority Leader Upmeyer, thank you for your leadership. I mean, it's been a well-run operation here. At least I felt, because there is no way that you can walk in the morning and be effective and manage time effectively from the absolute first gavel until you walk out. And I recognize that. So given a system that is made for waiting, I think you do a pretty darn good job. So thank you. And while I'm on this spot, I don't have awards to give out, and I don't expect anybody else to give these out for them. But there's a couple people that I cannot, I just can't leave out. Dawn Pettengill, here you are. You are the constituent servant. I have never seen, you are the one I'm thinking of as I'm speaking. So many other people are really good, but I tell you, I've never seen anyone work harder, longer, full time, all 4 seasons, 365 days. Thank you. I want to be more like you, and I know I'll never be, because there's something that motivates you. And then when there's no constituent, I don't know how many of you guys have folders, but she's going to teach us some stuff too. I mean, wow, it's amazing. And then it's not that it's on the opposite end of the spectrum, but in a completely different category that I think is so imperative to the all the way from the founding of the Republic to now, would be Tom Shaw. The absolute fearless courage, and yet, and I don't even want to spill anything that's a private conversation, And yet it's not easy to be that courageous. Let's just put it that way. And yet when you're standing on what you believe in and you ran for a reason, and let's just build on that, if you're away from your family, you're away from your kids, you're all of that, better make it worth it. And Tom, you've taught me the courage in a manner that I hadn't heard of. And then when we'd spend more time together this last couple of years, and I learned of your military service, and those stories mean a lot, and how it builds on it. I tapped my, see what we can do. It's my agronomist. It's a guy who wants to sell me chemicals. And he's a good man too. So, the sergeant in arms and doorman, I want to say thank you. It brightens my day when you say good morning. It brightens my day when I leave. It brightens my evening when I leave. And it means a lot to me when you call me Jason. I didn't run for a title. We didn't. But it's just nice to have good men who have seen so much call you by your first name and be that familiar. Thank you. I've always appreciated. I even kind of feel a little bit bad when you open the door for me when I'm going back or forth when we're in debate. But thank you. That's your job. You do it well. And I'll be coming over to say hi whether I'm in office or not. I'll be visiting. To the lobby, boy, did you folks teach me a lot of stuff. There's only a few of you up there, it looks like. But I appreciate your patience. When I wasn't getting things done in committee as fast as you hoped, I hope you believe me when I say that it wasn't because I was sabotaging it, unless I told you I was sabotaging it. I've learned procedure, what you do, what you don't do. I didn't always take those lessons, I'll admit it. Sometimes my judgment went the other way. But one of the things I want to report up to you and then let everybody know is that remember the Denison High School, when they show up and they ask, can we get some other people? I've always offered the lobby, a member of the lobby, because they're information givers. It's up to us to judge the information, the means of delivery, the timing. It's up to us. That's what we were elected for. But thank you for the information. I've always appreciated it. And if I've ever doubted it, it wasn't for dishonest purposes. It was because you had a perspective that was different than the person who's going to give the other side of the story. That's fair enough. And it's my job to decide between the two. The governor and lieutenant governor, I appreciate them, and I want to give you a little bit of a story here. I want to be respectful of your time, but you're going to like this. The Anderson's group, ethanol group, bought the ethanol plant in Denison. The governor and lieutenant governor came to Denison to visit with them, doing a fine job getting out there, meeting the industry folks. And I was called, the staff called, are you interested in being here? Yes, I am. What was going on at the same time, though, was that at the time, she must have been 9, Cameron, my youngest girl, was doing an Iowa book for her class. And she said, is there a chance I could get a picture with the governor and lieutenant governor? Sure. Look, all you got to do is ask. But I knew that it was a little bit odd taking a 9-year-old to a situation like this, but we're rather informal out there in western Iowa. She tagged along, dressed very nice. I was so proud of her. She behaved herself like a very proper little lady. But my little drop the ball moment was when I told her, now sit here, and you got to be quiet, just behave yourself. It was halfway through this official meeting with the Anderson group and the top 2 officials in the state when I realized that everybody who was not an Anderson group executive or an elected official was sitting back along the wall. And suddenly my daughter in her pink dress stood out like a neon light in the dark, that here I am with my 9-year-old sitting between people that we all matter, but sitting between these dignitaries who planned on having a solemn meeting. And my daughter behaved herself in a way I was so proud. Nobody said a word. And after that, you do all the formalities before you go out to the tour. And we've all been there. It's all the same thing. But we're getting ready for the tour. They had done all their other card exchanging and their formalities. And the Andersons folks, not their job to remember this, but they're like, well, then we have a vehicle here ready to take you. And I don't say this with disrespect, but it was the moment. Grandpa turned around. Oh, we're not done yet. We have a little girl who needs a picture. And the governor of Iowa and the lieutenant governor swooshed everybody away, invited Cameron up, and took the best picture in an Iowa book that the teacher has ever seen. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Governor Branstad and Lieutenant Governor Reynolds. So that little girl still tells that story. So, what else we got? No, caucus staff. I can't say enough about your work ethic and your patience. I don't know how you know all the stuff that you know. I don't know where you go to find all the information that you find, but you do it so quickly, you retain it so well, and you regurgitate it upon demand so efficiently and accurately that I'm just stunned. It humbles me to even come ask a question. And I've actually had an individual back home, I bet some of you have heard this also, that I've heard that the whole state and the country, it was the country, but they were asking about the state. I've heard the whole state's run by a whole bunch of just out of college staffers. And I said, well, I've heard that about Washington, D.C. also, that doesn't matter, but yeah, I've heard that also. Is that the way it is in Iowa? And I said, you better hope so. Because the folks who do our research and spend their year, and this is both caucuses, are the most committed researchers, information gatherers, information providers that I've ever seen. It is amazing. I want to say thank you. Also for your incredible amount of patience when I've asked some of the dumbest questions and you didn't break a smile, you didn't roll your eyes, and you should have, because sometimes I wasn't thinking ahead very much. But thank you very much. The chief clerk's office has helped out very much. I'd like to thank that entire area. Yes, after 6 years, when I go in, I still have the befuddled look and ask, how do I file this? They still have a polite smile and they tell me how to do it correctly. Thank you. And to the ladies in the back room, please pass that on. And then LSA and drafters and the staff down there in LSA. Have you ever thought about it this way? First of all, I'd like to thank the drafters because I've sent some doozies down there. And they've turned them around and they've gotten them back there. And all of us have asked for amendments that we didn't mean to file, bills that we only wanted to send a message. All that time, these folks sat down there and did the job, did the work, did a good job of it. And I have yet to have a tomato or an apple or orange thrown at me randomly when they see me on the streets in Des Moines. I appreciate that. I really do care. And LSA, like fiscal, has it ever occurred to you, and I think they've earned this position, has it ever occurred to you that both Democrats and Republicans, we throw numbers out there and everybody looks at them like, yeah, all right, that's just your, and then you say, well, these are LSA numbers. Everybody's like, oh, well, if it's LSA. They've earned that. It's pretty impressive. Weathermen dream of having respect like that. But when LSA says something, they've researched it, they can back it up. The fiscal notes, I know there's been some where you're like, okay, time out, you didn't consider this. But never once have I considered that it was twisted for a purpose. LSA just seems, I don't know what your experience is now that I say it, and maybe you disagree completely. But I sure appreciate having those people around, and the citizens of Iowa should too. And then, okay, and we're down to about the end, and then I even got a treat for you that's going to surprise you. The same speech where I heard to go home and kiss your children when you get home on Thursday nights, also said the most interesting line, and I've remembered this ever since, and this applies to all of us because we're all leaders, whether it's parents, Cub Scout, troop leaders, church leaders. And if you'll remember, the line was, if I'm correct, I've repeated it to him since, and he said, yes, that's it. Leadership is the ability to disappoint your followers at a rate they can absorb. And I've always watched that, and and that's not holding yourself up to never failing. It's just admitting that you're going to do it once in a while. Work hard not to do it too much. And then the caveat to that I've added in my mind is that when you do have to fail, or when you do fail your followers, have the integrity to know whether you needed to or you simply failed. That's an important distinction right there, and I've caught myself on both sides of that. And whether you accurately identify needed to or failed is how you get to sleep that night. And if you're wrong, I couldn't fall asleep. And then other than that, let me do this quick. These are for you. I've been here 6 years. I have a November 27th birthday. I've never been able to bring treats. And this gentleman who sits next to me sells meat sticks. Tom Corey with Corey Family Farms puts out a product that I've always admired very much, and it was his idea that I'll give you some if you want to give some treats. Representative Jacoby is not here, but he seemed to have the misfortune of being at a few of my committees that I've finished out at the end of the year, and he always gave me a little bit of a hard time because where's the donuts, where's the pastries? At the last day, you're supposed to bring treats, and in 4 years of different assignments, I never did, so I thought I'd try to make it up for you now. Ladies and gentlemen, these are all natural beef sticks from Corey Family Farms, and he's around. You can find them. I think the label's on there. But I will set them in the back here. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to set them back in the corner here by me. Everybody is certainly welcome to one, and now that we've lost our clerks, you probably have two. There's 250 of them in there, I think. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, thank you for all you've taught me. Thank you for your patience, and obviously I'm hoping that I get to come back and see you in a year. But if I don't, this has been a blessing of God, and each of you were part of it. Thank you very much.